If it's a day called today, we're talking guitars and life. Well, welcome back everybody to another episode of Ted Talks Guitars and Life. Well, you can see that the old Washburn is back on the workbench. Man, we've been spending some time together, this guitar and I am thinking I'd like to dial it in just a little bit more than it is right now by way of fine tuning, Jack. So we're going to get into it. Man, I so appreciate you guys taking time to hang out with me today, man. I know that you could be anywhere doing anything. You could be watching anything, man. So I just appreciate every moment that you hang out with me in this particular episode and as always on the channel. Well, so what we're going to do in this video, we're going to deal with that nut, Jack. Let me take you in here and show you this nut and what we're talking about. Now the observant viewer sees my little note here, cosmetic question mark. We are going to tackle the cosmetics of this guitar. I am going to get rid of that beak and I am going to address the dents on the back of that guitar in some form or fashion, but that is not a today thing. I want to do fine tuning first. Get the guitar completely dialed into my player preferences before I do anything cosmetically. Some would argue, and maybe they were right, that I should have dealt with this while the neck was off the guitar, but I chose not to go that way. So the nut on this guitar right now is a bone nut that I took out of a Tease ST1 when I blacked out one of my gray Tease guitars and put in a black Graphtec tusk nut. So I had this old nut laying around the shop and it's okay, but it ain't perfect. Now, I'm not saying OCD perfect. I'm just saying I want to get a little bit of a better level on that deal. It's a little thin on the treble side. It's a little beefy on the bass side. And anyway, I figured that I needed to dial it in just a little bit more. So today what we're going to do, I have acquired a bone nut from the good folks at Guyker. And guys, I've never seen a bone nut quite like this before. This is a red bone nut. I will put a link in the description below. This is the Guyker ETR4236. It is a red, check it out, a red bone nut. I don't know why it's red, but I thought, hey man, given the redness of the guitar, why not give old red bone a shot here, Jack? By the way, I bought this on the Zon for $9.99, and there were 2 of these bones in this package, Jack. So 2 bones for $9 at Amazon. I thought that was a pretty good deal, even though I know a guy with a Guyker code. Hint, hint, it's in the description below. But when I went out to Guyker and looked for this nut, it was $9.99, but it just showed 1. I don't know if you get 2 nuts or not. This package was, they were both in here. I've displaced the other one to the nut location in my storage bin. It's just over there in the tin, man. Don't get excited. Anyway, so we're going to take this red bone nut. We are going to deinstall the Tease bone nut out of this guitar, and we're going to deal with all that, Jack. And then when we're done with that, we're going to shim this guitar. So yeah, man, I did put a drop of glue to hold this nut in here, man. So again, this is a precarious thing for old Ted, man. I do not want to break the other side of this fingerboard. I will do my best not to do it. Figured I'd bring y'all along for the journey. If you fancy a journey, stick around. Okay, well, here we are. I have loosened the strings, obviously. I have removed the strings to either side of this guitar neck, and hopefully kind of sort of out of the way. I'm going to take my razor blade and go down the sides of this nut in the hopes that I will cut through any glue that may or may not be present. Man, how you guys doing, man? What are you working on today? What is going on in your world, man? Your neck of the woods, as it were. Yeah, so if you loosen strings, you put them to either side. You can use a capo. Oftentimes that'll hold down, the strings pretty well. And then I've got this old stir thing from a old paint can that I like to use. Sometimes what I will do instead of using my capo is just to put something like that on either side to hold those strings down. Sometimes I will use my old chopstick. That works well too. But I thought I'd go this way today. So I'm going to take my razor blade and I'm going to insert it between this nut and that guitar neck. And I'm just going to tap a little bit. I just want to make sure that there's no glue holding that to the side. I bet my head is in the camera. Big old Fred Flintstone. Do the same thing on this side. And again, I'm just trying to get any kind of glue. Try to keep them separated, as it were. Hey guys, put it in the comments, man. How do you do this? I'm sure there are people who have questions, and man, seeing my process may or may not be helpful, but hearing about your process may also be enjoyable and enriching to people. So put it in the comments, guys. Man, I think that's loosening up. At least I hope so. Well, I'm going to need a screwdriver, which I happen to have right here. So yeah, man, it's kind of weird, Amazon, you get 2 of these nuts for $10, man. I'll put the link in the description below should you want to check them out. Guyker, $10 for 1, it looked like. So, well, that's not going anywhere, is it, guys? No, it is not. How much glue did I use? I don't know. I bet my head's all in the shot, isn't it? Probably. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you? Well, my nervousness exists on many levels. I know I don't want to break this. I know I certainly don't. I know there's not any on the side because now some may argue I got a little bit of space right in there. I might be able to get an apparatus in there. Yeah, we don't play those stupid games. Why does it have to be a stupid game? Come on, man. Alright. Well, I like that. That's loose anyway. Yeah. Well, my ingenuity is failing me, isn't it? Yep. What are you going to do? Scratch the body? Put a dent in it? Well, guys, I really would like to see this come out. It is not. It is not coming out. Well, it felt like it was moving. Maybe it was an illusion. Maybe it's just my needle nose pliers slipping off the nut. Well, I know this, the nut's not going to be any good after this, which is okay, I guess. That's one way to do it, guys. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm just saying it's one way. Well, I think yeah. So I broke my nut here, but that's okay. I got a trash can, but that can go in right there. So I do have a little bit of glue residue in here. So let me try to normal all this up a little bit, man. So I could, in theory, get out a file. In theory. Now, I believe I have a triangular one. I don't really care that there's glue residue in there as long as it's flat. If it's not flat, that ain't good. Okay. A few files, a little bit of elbow grease, a hammer, a screwdriver, razor blade for the win. So what we're going to have to do now is sand down the edges of this nut so that it fits in the nut slot. Yeah. It's really close, guys. It is. Now, I remember on this guitar that a couple interesting things. I've never really looked to compare this to anything, but if you look really close, what you can tell is there's a little bit more meat on the bass side than the treble side. Kind of a diagonal. It looks to be straight, but maybe that's just the cut. Maybe it's just my old rock and roll eyes, man. But yeah, guys, I need to come off this just a tad bit, so I'm going to get some sandpaper, and we'll tackle that together, Jack. By the way, guys, this might be a good time for me to reiterate. Nothing I do is prescriptive for you, man. Just descriptive of my craziness. Please don't do anything that I just did in the way that I did it. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it. I'm just saying they got the nut out, and I did not break the guitar, so I got that going for me. Alright, let me quit stalling, man. We got to be sanding this nut down. Stand by. If you like this kind of content, why don't you like the video? Consider subscribing to the channel. Come back anytime and hang out with us at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. And now, let's get back to it. Okay, well, we've got a piece of 220 sandpaper. We've got one red bone from the good folks at Guyker. And yeah, man, we're going to be just filing this down again. Not to be prescriptive, guys, but I'm going to make sure that my bone nut is level. And when I'm sanding, I'm trying to exert as much pressure as evenly as I can, so that I don't have any unevenness. Yeah. Let's start with this side right here. By the way, when I said that the Tease ST1 bone nut was not exactly level, I wasn't saying that it was unlevel because the folks at Tease put a defective bone nut in the ST1. It is because I filed it. Yeah, my saddles are still pointing down pretty good. So I think I'm going to need to shim this neck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shim the neck in the next video, if I don't do it off camera sooner than later. But yeah, before I'm going to really fine tune that, I need to get my action where it's just a little bit better for me. Yep, I'm going to drop a shim in here just because I can. But that'll be another day. Thanks for hanging out. Well, as always, wherever you are in your guitar journey, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your bad selves, everybody. We'll catch you down the road.